Hi guys, welcome back to Mark Ellis Reviews. I've never introduced the channel like that before, and this is really going to throw Niall, my editor, because I haven't told him that this is going to be a one-take video, although it does make his life a little bit easier, so I'm sure he'll thank me for it. Thank you. Firstly, thank you for all the kind words about health stuff. I mentioned something in my review of the Google Fitbit Air, which I'm still using and still think is fantastic. I didn't go into details, but it's been a pretty tricky few weeks. I'm okay. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fixed. I'm recovering, but it's been tough. And I think it makes you realise what matters in life and what's important. Yeah, thank you for your kind words if you got involved in that. That was lovely. I think rather than do a really structured video about the MacBook Neo, because I've done a lot of those. I've made a lot of videos about the MacBook Neo that have been well received, but equally they could start to get a little bit tired in that form. But clearly people are still very interested in this laptop. So I thought, to give myself an easier time, let's just do it's like a pub chat. It's going down the pub for a beer with me, and this is what I'm going to talk about while we're there, which is the MacBook Neo. And more importantly, I'm going to address what I do between these two laptops. That's kind of the crux of this one, because I have a MacBook Pro in front of me. This is an M3, let me get this right, an M3 Max MacBook Pro that I bought nearly 3 years ago, I think. It's got some stickers on there. It's got a DJI sticker and it's got some WWDC 26 stickers there. But it's been a workhorse, but its role has changed, which I'll explain why that's the case in a moment. And then we have the MacBook Neo, and this is the base model. There's no Touch ID, as you can see there. It's got the normal power button. So it's got the 8 gig of unified memory and the 256 gig of storage. And I run my business on it. I genuinely run my business on this. And we still get a lot of comments on this channel from people who I don't think fully appreciate that what they're saying about the Neo is unfair. I'm not here to defend Apple. That isn't my job at all. I don't work for Apple. I'm very independent. But I am here to defend consumers. And I think if someone is thinking about buying this laptop, they go onto YouTube and they find reviews about it, and the comments within those reviews, or the viewer comments, are full of people saying it's not a laptop. It's not even a laptop. It's a glorified tablet. It isn't. It's categorically a laptop. It runs a desktop operating system, Mac OS. It's not a tablet. It doesn't even have a touch screen. It couldn't be any less of a tablet if it tried. It is a laptop. But if people come across these comments, and people who are thinking about buying one of these see people saying that sort of stuff, they will be put off, and I think they'll end up spending more than they should. They'll buy the MacBook Air. They might think, oh, I need to get myself a MacBook Pro, save for months, or use some of my savings to spend thousands on this MacBook Pro, when actually they would have been absolutely fine with this. I'm here to help those people and help those people look beyond those comments. Now, I know the elephant in the room, and I did address this in a recent video about the MacBook Neo, is the fact that it has increased in price recently due to the global chip shortage. So very quickly, Apple had to make price increases at the end of June. They held off and they held off and they held off until they couldn't hold off anymore. And most other manufacturers have done this. The likes of Dell, Lenovo, etc. They have increased pricing, and they've done so quite a while ago. A lot of them did it back in December and January this year. So Apple, ironically, were one of the last to do that. However, this Neo is still the cheapest one you can buy, as in the cheapest MacBook, and I think it works for a lot of people. However, there are some areas where it won't work, and I guess what I want to do is explain how I've been running my business on this. So let's put this to one side for the minute. Thanks to this job, my desk is full of different devices that all perform different jobs to keep the production process running. But that often leads to one of the biggest pet peeves I have, a messy desk full of cables and adapters. I fixed all of that with one upgrade, the Ugreen MaxiDock 17-in-1 Thunderbolt 5 dock. This thing is basically the new command center for my entire setup. You get 17 ports, support for monitors, storage, Ethernet, and, well, basically everything running through one single cable. And it's not just clean, it's insanely fast as well. We're talking up to 120 gigabits per second bandwidth, so moving those massive 4K video files feels, well, instant. However, the real game changer for me is that built-in NVMe slot, which supports up to 8 terabyte M2 SSDs. And that means I can edit large video files directly from that dock, removing the need to wait for lengthy transfers or file uploads. It's brilliant for displays as well. You can run dual 8K or even triple 4K monitors all at the same time. So if you're a serious multitasker, or you want to feel like you're working at NASA, NASA, it's perfect. Plus that 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port means I don't need to worry about slow Wi-Fi. If you want a cleaner desk and a much faster workflow, this is the only upgrade you need. Check out Ugreen's full lineup, including the 10-in-1 and the Mac Mini dock, by clicking that link in the description. What does running this business mean? Again, I get a lot of questions about this. What happened? What do you do apart from sit here, filming yourself? This actually is the least I do in this business. In terms of if I looked at my time across the week, I spend much less time sitting in this chair, in front of this camera, waffling onto you guys, than I do sat over there, for instance, or sat in a coffee shop, or sat at home doing other things and having meetings with the team and all that sort of stuff. So this is quite a small part of the YouTuber job. So if we put that out of the window for the moment, that's just not something we need to talk about with regards to this. Although I do use this on video quite often to read from notes and that sort of stuff. But the bulk of the stuff that I do, in fact, I can do this very easily. I can tell you the apps that I've got set up and installed on my MacBook Neo. So I'm a Safari user. No, really, I do use Safari. I've used it for years and years. I still think it's the best browser out there. Fight me in the comments if you don't agree. However, I do have Chrome because there are certain apps, certain web apps that we use, and just certain instances where Safari doesn't seem to work quite as well as Chrome with certain things. Google Workspace, for instance, sometimes just seems to be better in Chrome, funnily enough. I use Grammarly for checking grammar, obviously, and that sort of stuff, and sometimes that plugin doesn't work in Safari on certain sites, but it always works in Chrome, so there's that as well. That's the kind of web element I use. I use Outlook. I'm an Outlook user, which people cannot believe. I don't know why, because Microsoft, they have their issues at the moment, I think, with Windows, that's safe to say, but they've made and they continue to make one of, if not the best, email clients on the planet, and it's fantastic on macOS. If you haven't tried out Microsoft Outlook on macOS, give it a go. Mail, I use Apple Mail just because Outlook is for my work mail, Apple Mail is for my personal mail. Slack, we use Slack internally here, so I have a team of people and we communicate not via email, thankfully, we communicate via Slack, so that gets used very heavily on this laptop. TickTick is what I use for the task management, so any daily tasks go onto that. When I'm writing, I use something called Ulysses, which, if you're looking for a distraction-free writing experience, I think it's the best. I've tried loads of them. This is Ulysses. You can see me writing about the public beta stuff there, and that gets used very comprehensively because I do a lot of writing. So whether it's writing for the website, marketlessreviews.com, or writing notes and stuff for these videos, I tend to do it in there. I use the Notes app. Most notes I take are taken in Apple Notes. I do a lot of traveling, obviously, and for going to product launches and that sort of stuff. So if I'm in a briefing, I tend to use Apple Notes with the transcription, recording mode going, again, on this laptop. What else? I've got Final Cut Pro on here. Don't tend to use it, but occasionally, if I'm abroad somewhere and I haven't taken my MacBook Pro with me because it's significantly more heavy than this one, I just like taking the Neo everywhere. And if I need to do a very quick edit for Niall, like it's a voiceover edit or something, this does that fine. 4K, no problem at all. Very simple edits, but yeah, these videos I don't edit anyway, but the very simple stuff gets done on this. I have a Mac over there, the M4 Mac Mini, which is running Claude. That's like our kind of super power HQ thing that does lots of stuff behind the scenes for us, and I occasionally have to remote into that Mac to do stuff. I use screen sharing for that. I've got the Siri app on here because this is running Mac OS 27 Golden Gate. It's the developer beta. I have to be very honest about that. It could change, etc. between here and when it's fully released. But yeah, I've got the Siri app on here as well, and because it's macOS 27, I have access to Siri AI, which I do use quite a lot, and it's amazing. It's incredible. I've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel, so go and check out my videos about Siri AI if you want to. But that's what I do every day. It's fairly boring stuff on this, really. It's running the business, and this is the other thing where I struggle with some of the comments that I receive on the channel, where people say, "What sort of business are you running with this? You can't run a business. This is for you buy it for your kid, or you buy it for your mum, or all this really kind of derogatory, patronising stuff." This business is a serious business. It is a business. It's we've got a team of people, and it's my income, it's my livelihood, it's my child's future. We've got a guy who's joined us recently, an apprentice called Toby, who was in a video recently, and I think he's been very surprised by just how hectic these businesses are and how things change every minute or can change every minute. And this handles that business for me. It's my do-it-all laptop, and occasionally I have to do slightly more involved things on it, like editing something for a video. Now that's the MacBook Neo, and I love it dearly. By the way, this is a D-brand skin, which I don't think they sell these ones anymore. This isn't sponsored by D-brand, by the way, but they do make lovely, wonderful things for your Macs. Where does this come into it? Now, this is where me being a tech YouTuber is a little bit unfair in terms of, I guess, relaying some of this to you, because the life that I live with these devices isn't particularly common. It's not a typical use case. Most people just have one Mac. I've got several. I've got a MacBook Air over there. I've got an iMac over there, a Mac Mini over there, another Mac Mini over there, all sorts going on. But these two laptops are the ones that I use the most consistently. This MacBook Pro I use for two reasons. One of them is because it has a slightly bigger screen than the MacBook Neo. It's a better screen as well. It's brighter. This isn't running macOS 27, by the way. This is absolutely running, what is it? It's, just so you know, because people find this interesting, it's running the one that I can't pronounce because I'm British. Sequoia, I think it's called. Anyway, so it's got a lot more power than this. It has fans built into it, and more importantly, it has an SD card slot. That is so important. So once I've finished filming this video, for instance, I'll probably go home for some lunch and take the SD cards out of these cameras, pop them into there, and upload all this footage to Google Drive so that Niall can pick it up and do his bit. He can get his editing underway. I can kind of do that with this, but I need a dongle. It's a bit of a faff. And also, this only has 256 gig of storage. I tend to copy the footage onto the drive first. This has 2 terabytes. There's more space. It's more production ready. The other reason I use this is if I need to do any proper video editing, which isn't that often these days, but if I edit a video, for instance, for the next drive, which is the car channel that we run, then that would get done on here. It wouldn't get done on here, although that could probably handle it. I think it could probably do it. And sometimes, and this is again where it's hard to relate to me, I guess, because I have all access to all this stuff. Sometimes I just want to use the MacBook Pro. I love this thing. This is the 14-inch version, and I talked about this ages ago in my review of this laptop. It's got a really lovely kind of slingability thing, which the MacBook Neo has as well, but this has it, and it also has all that power. So you know that under your arm, you've got this really powerful device, really powerful computer. And this is the M3 generation. It's not even the M5 generation. I can't see myself changing this for a long time because I don't need to. And equally, I know how long Macs last. I think they'll last it will last for years and years and years. And the other part of this, which is going to become very important very soon, I've talked about this a lot, I appreciate if you've been watching this channel for a while, is the music side of my life. So I've got, for years and years and years, I've been obsessed with making music since I was a kid, basically. But I don't have a studio set up at the moment. We're going to have that in here relatively soon. And this is actually all set up for that already. So I've got Logic running on here with a template that I've pre-built, and it's got all my soft synths, that's very hard to say, and plugins and stuff on here. It's ready to go basically, but what I don't have is the area designated as the music making area. That doesn't exist yet, so that's coming. And again, that will get used for that. Over this, I wouldn't put this through that because it won't deal with it. It's not built for it. Before we crack on, this section is brought to you by Lo-Free and their new Flow 2 keyboard for Mac. Now, if like me, you spend most of your day on a Mac and you've ever plugged in a third-party keyboard only to spend the next fortnight retraining your thumbs where the command key lives, this is aimed squarely at you. The Flow 2 keyboard is built around a true Mac layout. We're talking identical modifier key sequence, left command key aligned with the X key, the spacebar sitting right under the M key. Basically, it's your MacBook keyboard, but a proper standalone version of it with 0 relearning required and a really satisfying typing experience. It's got cloud surface switches with a gasket mount, so the typing feels smooth and is pretty refined. Not that clacky, plasticky sensation you get with a lot of keyboards at this price. The body is aluminium, it's got PBT keycaps and tri-mode connectivity across Bluetooth, 2.4 GHz and wired. And yes, it's available in different color options: Volt, Nebula, Petal and Silver. It really is a superb keyboard. Check that link in the description to learn more or reserve yours at lowfree.co. So that's how I use these two laptops. And is this buying guidance? Not not really, is it? I don't think it is, but it will spark a lot of conversation, in the comments down there. I think a lot of you will get involved. And I do think some people will do that thing that I talked about earlier of saying, this is a waste of time and all the rest of it. I think if you are about to write a message, a comment like that, I love that other side of it, hearing the other opinions on the MacBook Neo not being right or whatever. But it has to be constructive, and it has to help the people who are thinking about buying these things. Don't make someone feel silly for buying what is a wonderful laptop for the right people. And I do, as I've demonstrated today, I do run my business on this. Guys, this has been a very different video. It's been very much off the cuff, to be honest, but I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it, actually, and hopefully you have. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, if you've been watching this channel, I do this all the time. If you've been watching this channel for ages and it just keeps popping up in your feed and you keep clicking and watching the videos, firstly, thank you so much. But equally, it's quite easy to forget not to hit subscribe. And although subscription numbers don't always mean that much at all, really, they are very important in terms of keeping these businesses profitable, in terms of attracting sponsors and stuff. So if you haven't hit that button yet, give it a click. The other reason for doing that is because there's so much exciting stuff on the way. The rest of this year is looking really exciting in terms of new releases and stuff. So lots to talk about. But in the meantime, get involved down there. Let me know what you think about the Neo and Macs in general. This style of video, do you like it? Do you want more of it? Let me know. And as always, I'll get involved 100%. So see you down there.